Greetings, Mick. Nice having you here. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you very much, Carla. We woke up at 4 a.m. this morning to come to Romania, so apart from being tired, I'm fine.
You will start actually the Judas tour from tomorrow here in Bucharest.
We will start what is, I think, something like the third leg of the Judas tour. We've been playing it since March. But yeah, we start in Bucharest tomorrow, then move to Sofia, then a couple of dates in Greece, and we finish off in Italy, then we go back home and we're back out again. Very busy, boys.
Before to arrive here in Bucharest, you had 2 shows in England and Belgium.
Yeah, we both share the same friend, an agent, Harvard from Aftermath Music. And I was talking with Harvard about 8 years ago, and he mentioned that he knew Kari, which was a shock for me because I had Kari's album Pilot, which I used to listen to. So I said to him way back then, if you could get us on a gig together, that'd be great. But we didn't do anything about it, and then I kind of reminded him sometime last year, so he started working towards it. So it was good to finally meet Kari on a professional and a personal basis as well.
For some venues you decided to play acoustic and for some not. Why is that?
Because we enjoy doing both. We enjoyed the electric side of things, and we also enjoy the challenge and the intimacy of the acoustic shows, where it's quite literally just myself and David, and between our 2 guitars and our 2 voices we have to create as much atmosphere as possible, and we enjoy that challenge. And we've actually got that show at a really nice place at the moment, so we're really enjoying playing that. We took it to South America, and we've took it to Russia, Siberia. So we're just taking it around a few more countries that haven't seen the show. So we prefer both, so that's why we choose to do both. Each one has its own special benefits.
Let's talk about the latest release, the Judas Table, which was released last year. Is this a concept album?
Yes, it's very much a concept album. And to boil the concept down into a few sentences, in my life I was unfortunate enough to have relationships and friendships with a certain type of person who display almost a complete lack of empathy to their fellow human being, and the treatment I received from them caused me many years of depression and self-doubt, and I used to think that the reason I received that treatment was because I must have invited and deserved it. Although I didn't know why, because I always do my best to treat people with respect and care. And as I got older, I just began to figure things out, about narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths and that type of person. And when I put 2 and 2 together, it was almost like a vindication, and I realised that it was just actually not my fault for being treated like that. And I just put an album together about the different personalities,
Do you consider the sound of the Judas Table it's different than the previous Antimatter releases?
No, I think it's got all the same elements that have been there since the very start, but it's just got a different ratio of elements, different ratio of the same elements. For example, I think almost half of the album is acoustic, whereas if you were to compare that to the previous album, Fear of Unique Identity, there's only one or two acoustic songs. It's the same set of elements, but just a different mixture, a different level this time. I'm not sure there's any particularly groundbreakingly new sounds in there.
And what feedback did you get about this album from metal journalists?
Well, from metal journalists, from any journalist, I mean, not just metal journalists, it was received really well. I mean, I'm not sure I saw many negative, I think I saw one negative review, but that was from like a webzine of people who so didn't understand me and didn't understand Antimatter and didn't understand Antimatter's own history, that they weren't even in a position to review the album anyway. But apart from that, I saw nothing but overwhelmingly positive reviews from the metal and also from the progressive rock community, you know.
Antimatter music, it has a lot of elements combining acoustic and a lot of progressive. What are the things that influences you so much?
Every song I've ever heard that I enjoyed, or every genre of music or band that I fell in love with since I started listening to music, it all still echoes around inside my head and comes back out, you know. So for example, when I was just 8 years old, I was given an Ultravox album as a present, which was like a dark synth band from the 80s. You know Ultravox, maybe, perhaps, or perhaps you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. And for years that record didn't leave my turntable, you know. Also around that time I was, you know, in love with the Gary Newman track Cars, you know, and so that's always stayed in me, and you will hear from the very first Antimatter album like a dark wave synth pop vibe. You know, if you listen to The Last Laugh from the first album, it's got that thing happening with the synths. As I grew up, I just got into metal, I got into progressive rock, then I got into the San Francisco freak out scene, which also had an acoustic folk side. You know, it's all just in there, it's all still in there.
Do you have a favorite Antimatter release?
I've got a soft spot for Fear of a Unique Identity, because it's like such a nasty little album. It's got such a tempo. It's quite aggressive and feral. It's quite it's got a pulse. It's very excitable, and I think some people again misunderstood that album, but for me it was celebrating all the music that I talked about, the early 80s kind of, you know, the dark synth stuff. So for me, I kind of like Fear of Unique Identity, but also, you know, the Judas Table being the last release I've worked on, I still think it's quite good. Many of the fans still think the only Antimatter album is Leaving Eden, but for me, that wouldn't be the first on my list. Leaving Eden, it wouldn't. The last two albums I did, I'm very proud of, you know.
As mentioned in the first questions, you had Carla as a guest, but you have also had other live musicians as guests and also on albums. Can you mention some of them you've collaborated with?
I could mention all of them. I mean, from day one we had Michelle Richfield and Hayley Windsor on guest vocals, the girls from Yorkshire. Jamie Kavanagh played some mild percussion on the second album. Then I formed a band of Liverpool musicians for Planetary Confinement, which was Steve Hughes, Chris Phillips, and I met a girl called Rachel Brewster who plays violin, and she's kind of remained with me ever since, you know. Danny from Anathema played lead guitar on Leave and Eden. Colin Fromont from French progressive rock band Averse, you know, he played drums on Fear of Unique Identity. You know, it's quite a boring list, really, you know, but I'm not saying that people are boring, but I could just go down a list, like checking off names, but for anyone reading an interview, that's not, you know, it's just, you'd probably tune out after a couple of lines, you know. I'm happy with all the jobs that all the session musicians have done, you know, really, I am, because they put, as we say in England, the icing on the cake, you know, and they've just come in and they've just put the topping on the album and finished it off nicely for me, so I'm very happy to have worked with all those people.
What other plans do you have soon?
Well, I released the single Welcome to the Machine over these last few days. Over the next few weeks I'm doing nothing but touring. Next month or November I'm going to Ukraine to play a gig in Kiev with a string quartet, which I'm looking forward to. After that I'm working on our first live DVD, which I want to bring out in March. And also I need to keep writing the next Antimatter album, the 7th Antimatter album.
As you mentioned, a DVD, where it will take place?
It was in a place called De Boerderij in Netherlands, which is quite a famous venue in Netherlands, mainly frequented by progressive rock bands. We've played there that many times, that's almost becoming our second home. And I wanted to capture the live band as it was earlier this year. I wanted to get a recording of us playing. And that seemed to be the perfect opportunity, because it's a nice venue, you know. The Dutch crowds are always fantastic, so I decided to get it recorded.
When you aren't on stage or on studio writing music, what other hobbies do you have? What do you like to do in your free time?
No, you got it wrong. I don't have any free time, and music is my hobby, so...
Maybe other activities?
Nope.
A sport or...
No.
Music is the...
Only music, all the time.
Music is your sport.
Music is my sport, yeah. Music is my work, and music is what I would do with my free time anyway. Music is what I did with my free time. So, I mean, work that one out. I can't work it out, you know.
Yeah. Every night and every day.
All the time.
Music.
Yeah. Music, you know, or the business side of music, which I have to take care of, takes up a hell of a lot of my time as well. You know.
And what message do you have for all the fans around the world?
For all the fans, to group everybody all around the world with one message. Stay out of toxic relationships. Identify toxic relationships. Or you probably already know when you're in a toxic relationship, but you don't want to stop it because you like certain aspects of that person. But identify toxic relationships and move away. That's what advice I've got.
Thanks a lot for this interview. It was my pleasure, and see you tomorrow to the show. Can't wait.
Awesome. Cheers, Carla.